Now, Washington Mornings on the Mall. 105.9 FM. And AM 630. WMAL.
Mornings on the Mall. Brian Wilson, Brian Neiman, Brian and Brian in the morning here, and we want to talk about gas prices. I mean, it's the thing that everybody's talking about. It's the shared, common, painful experience that we all go through right now as we go to the gas stations to fill up our tanks, and it costs $60, $70 if you got a big car, even $80 to do that. What are we in for when it comes to the price of gasoline, and what about our national energy policy? Joining us now on the line is Dr. John Hofmeister, who is the former president of Shell Oil. Dr. Hofmeister, thanks for joining us here with Brian and Brian.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
All right, so let's talk about where we're headed, because that's really what everybody wants to know. Given the way things look right now and the uncertainty that we have in the Mideast with the Iranian situation, how high is a gallon of gas going to go in the days ahead? Do you have any sense of it yet?
If we stay on our current path, Brian, I think we're headed for upwards of high fours, even $5 a gallon this year.
That's an average, right?
On an average.
And that means that in some places it'll be more.
It could be more. California, New York generally are more. Hawaii, etc.
Okay. And if things go really, really bad in Iran?
Well, if we see a shutoff of the transportation of crude oil out of the Persian Gulf, nearly a fifth of the daily oil consumption of the world comes through the Straits of Hormuz. It's anybody's guess. It could, if there was a shutdown of the Straits, I think we'd see $200 crude very quickly.
Wow.
That would translate into something well north of $5. Maybe it wouldn't stay very long, but here's the rub. Why should the American consumer have to worry about the Straits of Hormuz when the United States of America has more oil than Saudi Arabia? That is such a conundrum for our country, that we have had presidents from Nixon to Obama who have promised energy independence, and here we are at the mercy of a gang of OPEC cartelists who tell us what our gas price should be.
I was going to ask you that. I mean, have you heard anything from the candidates right now in the Republican Party, or is there any belief that you have that actually will change, that we'll actually be getting more oil from our own resources, from right here in the United States?
Well, I think each of them in their own way talk about the importance of domestic natural resources, but I have yet to hear a comprehensive, coherent plan, whether it's from the incumbent president or whether it's from the aspiring candidates. It takes a lot of planning. You can't just win the consumer by promises in an election. It takes a plan that takes delivery over many, many years. And that's what we have failed to do ever since Nixon promised energy independence.
But is it possible? Because if you're going to have a comprehensive plan, you're going to have to get everybody on board, and it takes a long time, and you have divided government. I mean, do you see it in the future where we actually come up with a plan, or are we just on this path forever?
Well, first I think we need a model. What could a model plan look like? And I've been out there talking about, we use almost 20 million barrels a day in this country. We used to produce 10. Today we produce more like 6. Why don't we go back to 10 as a start? We know where it is. We know how to do it. Let's get back to 10 million barrels a day of oil. Then we have natural gas galore.
Yep.
Let's turn natural gas into compressed natural gas for trucks and methanol for cars and light trucks. Methanol is a liquid that NASCAR uses. We can use that in our cars and trucks. And then, yes, higher mileage vehicles helps. But don't forget, we have two great neighbors, one to the north, one to the south, that are blessed with oil. Let's work with them for whatever else we need so we can tell OPEC to take a hike.
Well, you're talking about the XL pipeline. Are you a little frustrated by the fact that that is on hold?
Well, I come from a business and an energy industry which looks at decades. And whether a pipeline is approved this year or next year, and I'm sure it will be approved next year when the president has no more elections to worry about if he's reelected, or the new president if he's replaced. So we lost a year. We lost a year for politics. And that's what consumers should be angry about, that anyone in politics should play with their pocket money, with their hard-earned wages over their political aspirations. I think the Americans have to remind the people in office who Who works for who in this country?
All right, but now the current administration says what we need is electric cars. We need more Chevy Volts. We need a grid that's electrified by solar and wind. So why not go that direction?
Well, there's nothing wrong with going in that direction for those who choose. Let the market determine what people want to buy. But when you have high-priced electric battery cars that, are supported by high-priced electricity, what about the average American? The average American needs a market for them as well, which is called, to me, ample gasoline or ample ethanol or methanol, ample available different kinds of bottles that they can choose from at different prices. I don't think government should be forcing transportation down people's throats.
We're talking with John Hofmeister, former president of Shell and also founder and chief executive of Citizens for Affordable Energy. All right, here's a question I have, and I'm not beating up on the oil companies, but this is something I've always wondered, is that when gas prices get to be $4 a gallon, then there are record profits for the oil company. So what incentive do they have to want $2 a gallon gas again? I mean, if they're making so much money when it's $4, I mean, do they really want it to be $2 a gallon again?
Well, the real money in the oil business is made in the upstream, which is drilling, exploring and drilling for oil. The refineries make very little money, even at high prices. And so what oil companies look at is what over the next 10, 20, 30 years is the market going to be like. A spike here, a spike there. The oil companies actually detest the volatility of oil prices because when it goes way up, sometimes it crashes way low. It's very hard to plan a business around volatility. What you look for is consistency. You look for constancy. And so over a period of 10, 20, 30 years, you plan your business based upon your expectation of what does the market want. We know the market wants more oil. There's a whole consuming base in China and India that has only just begun to enjoy the benefits of more oil. They're going to want that for a long time to come. And so when an oil company thinks about its future, it primarily thinks about the long term. It detests the spiking of profits because that's usually followed by the low point of profits. Keep in mind, in 2008, we had $147 a barrel.
Yep.
4 months later, it's $36 a barrel.
Wow.
How do you plan a business like that? You really can't.
All right. John Hofmeister, it was great to have you on. Thanks very much for your time. We appreciate it.
I really enjoyed that.
You.
I hope to have you back.